welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday, and previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., flying solo today. And it was a good week for Wrestling With as we interviewed Benny Buckus last Wednesday. Incredible interview, incredible individual. Cannot recommend that interview enough. If you haven't already, go check it out in the archives. We're always looking to the future. This upcoming Tuesday, we have the Italian Prince, Pereno. We talk all things the Italian Prince. We talk about his 2 out of 3 falls match against CJ Evans. We talk about wrestling in the rain. We talk about almost getting arrested in the Bronx. We also talk about anime, cooking, and a hell of a lot more. So check that one out. And then this upcoming Wednesday, we have TJ Leah from the voice of Scandi Grab Pro Wrestling. He is the commentator for all the Scandinavian promotions. We talk about that. We talk about his new faction with Ender Kira and Alice Inc., friend of the show. We talk about potentially coming into the ring himself. We talk about his career as a horror writer. And a hell of a lot more. Definitely a fantastic interview. You want to check that one out on Wednesday. But don't take my word for it. Here's some clips now.
There was a promotion in Bronx. This is back in 2015, I believe. Back when I first started wrestling. And so my trainer at the time was booked on a show. And we had gone, he brought a bunch of the students with him or whatever. And the show wouldn't let us in there to even help set up the ring or anything like that. So we were sitting in the car waiting for waiting for our trainer to come out and let us know what was going on. And then probably an hour and a half goes by, and we ended up having 2 undercover police officers pull up. Wanting to search through the car and looking for weapons and hard drugs and all that other stuff. And it's just, 4 wrestlers sitting in a car. and the trunk's full of all our gear. And it made me, I haven't been to Bronx since. That was, that kind of sketched me out a little bit.
It was one of those moments where I was like, I just came close to death. And I remember I was with someone in the car. It wasn't my usual group of people. And as we were driving, I just see, out of the corner of my eye, I see sparks just flying from my car. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it turned out that, and I was in the left lane and I wasn't going too fast, but the wheel had completely gone away, and I was catching the ground as I was going, and if I hadn't caught it, the car probably would have burst into flames. So we pulled over on the side, and we're just sitting there waiting, and I was like, oh, it's cool, we'll get that changed over. And I thought, I'll just put some oil in the car. And I wasn't thinking very clearly at the time because the engine was still hot. I put oil in, and the engine starts going into flames. So I'm standing there with my friend, and we're just on the side of the road with a car that is rapidly, engulfing in the flames.
Alright, And then check out our social media at Wrestling with E for information on who will be interviewing for the month of October. Right. It is a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. It was not a good week if you're an NXT fan, as the Invasion, well, it's not even a PLE at this point, it's just, a special random episode of NXT, previously branded as Invasion, which was a WWE paid preview back in 2001 when WCW invaded WWE. All these years later, they're using it for this special episode of NXT between NXT versus TNA. That's not happening anymore. I kid you not. Israel Publications, Israeli, I want to say that that's the correct term here, took issue with the name, and especially with the timing of this event, as October 7th, the day of the event, it also coincides when, let's just say that the issues between Israel and Palestine started. So to say, and it was dubbed an invasion when all of that happened. So to say that this was a big oopsie on WWE's part is an understatement. I don't think that they had any intentions of correlating the two, and I don't think a lot of other people have either. Nonetheless, it was still a big enough issue for them to change the name from Invasion to Showdown. So yeah, if you were a fan and excited to see the Invasion gimmick return, sorry, the font is still there. The font's still nice for Showdown. I can't necessarily say I'm too upset about it. I just, the whole Invasion gimmick that they were presenting, it didn't necessarily seem like it was that. It did seem like, they were just using the Invasion gimmick so they can use the Invasion PLE name. It does kind of make more sense that it's now Showdown. It's more friendly, and for or friends from Jerusalem. And it just kind of makes more sense because an invasion kind of comes out of nowhere. A showdown is, you're preparing for it. So again, I'm not too upset about it. Another thing that happened this week in the news, Andrade Del Idaho made his way back to AEW. It was the 6th anniversary of Dynamite. Andrade joined the Don Callis family, real original there. It does seem like the Don Callis family is becoming kind of like AEW's version of the Bullet Club. Well, we don't know what to do with this guy. Let's throw him in Don Callis family, whether it makes sense or not. I don't necessarily care that he's back. It didn't make an impact when he first came there. It's not going to make an impact now that he's back. The only people that succeed in this is those who likes making memes, and Andrade is definitely very memeable at this point, being called a human ping pong ball, going back and forward between WWE and AEW. I even heard that he's making his return to WWE 2027 Royal Rumble, so look forward to that as well. I don't think she'll be out for any extended period of time, but Jade Cargill got a nasty cut on her head after the triple threat match on SmackDown last week. A lot of people are, blaming Nia Jax, but, I kind of, yeah, I mean, she is kind of at fault at this point. But, I mean, that whole match just kind of seemed cursed at this point, considering people are dubbing it like the worst triple threat of all time, or the worst match WWE's produced. I don't think it's as bad as the worst match WWE's produced, but I digress. It was bad though, and I do think that a lot of that blame has to do with the referee not counting when she obviously clearly should have very much counted. If I'm not mistaken, this isn't the first time she's made a mistake. So, I do wonder if WWE, if that's not gone unnoticed from WWE. As for Nia Jax, I mean, it doesn't seem like she does kind of seem bulletproof at this point, that she can do anything, despite, backlash, outcry. People are a fan of her, whether you're in the building or, outside of it. The internet wrestling community, as it's called. I don't think it necessarily changes anything at this point. I mean, she has hurt a lot of people, but I don't know. She's clearly not she's not safe in the ring, and yet she is, featured so prominently. So, it's kind of, again, I'm not entirely sure about this. But, I mean, again, it's been the worst ever, match in WWE, so, I can't imagine that's not going to go unnoticed by, the higher-ups. And then, our last bit of news today, By Elegance has formally retired. She had to relinquish the TNA Knockout Championship, and she will not be performing anytime in the near future. Me and Kaliko spoke about this a bit last week on the show. There wasn't a lot of information. I was still, just kind of optimistic about, whatever may have been going on with her. She could maybe come back at some point. It's not a proper retirement. It's just kind of what needed to be said at that moment. Tommy Dreamer, who is, a big part of the backstage part of TNA, he more or less said that, don't look into it, but she's not coming back. There is no, return for By Elegance. Dana Brooke, if you, for the WWE fans that know her. But I mean, it's just kind of really sad. It did seem like she was starting to, kind of catch, catch steam as By Elegance. Obviously she was champion, so, it was just like the worst possible time for this to happen to her. Whatever, is going on with her. I do wish her the best, and I do hope that it's not the end, of her in-ring career. Hopefully, she'll be able to return at some point down the line. Um, Whatever issues she's going through, notwithstanding, you know, more or less, want to make sure that she's happy and healthy first. So, definitely, again, wishing her the best. Right. That will conclude our coverage of the news and a quick word from our sponsors.
So, Rogue Energy, the only gaming drink company in the world with 4 unique product lines to suit your task at hand, whether it be juices, shakes, smoothies, and everything else in between. Their low calorie, no sugar energy formula is the perfect alternative to sugar filled canned energy drinks and sodas. Their extreme formula provides the most energy, focus, and sports performance possible. Their hydration line offers focus, ingredients without the added caffeine. Drink it anytime you're thirsty. And their shake formula is so delicious. Who doesn't love a cookies and cream, 0-calorie energy milkshake? First and foremost, they've designed every Rogue product line with performance and effectiveness in mind. It is critical that you look at the nutrition panels of drinks when comparing options. There are countless off brands out there that are presenting low quality, poorly dosed formulas that amount to expensive caffeine water. Every formula they produce is designed with optimal levels of high quality ingredients. Additionally, you won't find a powdered gaming drink brand that dissolves better. No need to have chalky textures in your drink. Their taste profiles are unmatched, specifically designed for gamers, athletes, students, entrepreneurs, people with hectic schedules, individuals with low energy, podcasters who can't shut up, people who are health conscious, and so much more. Great as both a pre-workout and as a coffee energy drink replacement. Specifically designed every Rogue product line to be the best gaming drink on the planet. Rogue Energy, more focus, more wins.
Use promo code WRESTLINGWITHE for 10% off your next purchase. And we are wrestling with WWE NXT No Mercy. Took place last Saturday in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at the NFT War Memorial Center. This is the same center. Doesn't say anything, but yeah. NXT PLE. 6 matches on the card. I'll say this, not necessarily the best PLE. Not everybody was necessarily cooking, the way that we normally see them. That's just my opinion. But I still think it was an enjoyable event in the end. First match up, Javon Evans defeated Josh Briggs in 16 minutes 28 seconds. Not a bad match. Obviously Javon is a superstar at this point. He wrestled Sami Zayn the night before this. He's making a couple of regular appearances on SmackDown, so it just kind of seems like a matter of time before he makes his main roster debut. Josh Briggs, despite getting some steam as a heel, he's still Josh Briggs, and he still kind of sucks. So it's hard for me to get invested in a match where I just loathe the guy that's in it. He kind of reminds me of Baron Corbin. It's not necessarily good heat; it's go away heat. But it kind of did what it needed to do for who was in it, so I give it 3 stars. Then you have Sol Ruka defending the NXT, the WWE Women's Speed Championship in against Jada Parker in 4 minutes and 48 seconds. This was supposed to be Lainey Reed. She was not medically cleared to actually wrestle. So, WWE, NXT, Shawn Michaels, whoever put this together, making chicken salad out of chicken set. It was, for what it was actually really good. They had, a competitive, fast-paced match in less than 5 minutes that actually told the story between Soul, Jada, Azaria, and then later on in the match, a Last Legend would come in. So, I mean, literally, there were so many moving parts in such a short span of time, and yet it all worked beautifully, and Soul got the W in with 10 seconds on the clock, or 12 seconds technically. This could have ended a lot worse, or they could have just scrapped, the match between Soul altogether. But we for what it was actually really good. I think all the moving parts worked really well. So I will give this. I'll give it 4 stars. I thought it was good. Then we have a weaponized steel cage match. Jordan Grace defeated Blake Monroe in 16 minutes 12 seconds. Good match, aggressive match. Obviously, Jordan got her, comeuppance against Blake. It should be a big moment for her. They beat the crap out of each other, which was great. Monroe actually cut Jordan's hair, which kind of, when it comes to when it comes to Jordan winning, it just kind of seems like, okay, yeah, you won the match and you got your comeuppance, but she cut your hair. She cut your hair off. And I kind of feel like that fact alone, that she got a piece of her hair, but makes Monroe more of the winner in this match than Grace, because she kind of owned her. She kind of, she may have won the match, but she took a piece of her, and that kind of cheapens Jordan's win, in my opinion. And so, while it was a good match, I don't think it did necessarily what it was supposed to do. Honestly, if Grace would have cut Monroe's hair as well, I mean, that would have been, tick for tack. But, considering she was the only one not leaving with a full set of hair, I don't know. I didn't. It makes me perceive Jordan Grace a little bit less than now because of it. Nonetheless, I give it 3.5 stars. Ethan Page defeated Tavion in the Heights to retain his North American Championship in 10 minutes 20 seconds. Honestly, just really hard to get into the match to begin with. I like Tavion. I love Ethan Page. But it was so obvious who was going to win this match. It was kind of hard to focus on it. And, it just kind of was what it was for 10 minutes. For two people that had 5 minutes more than Sol Ruka and Jada Parker, they didn't really do a lot with it, in my opinion. So, I give it 2.5. And I think I'm kind of being nice with the 2.5. I mean, right person won. I don't think that it necessarily did Tavion any favors. The crowd didn't really seem into it. Everything just seemed kind of off, in my opinion. Then you have the NXT Women's Championship match. JC Jane to the beat. Hey, you don't even have to move your feet. Defeated Lola Vice in 18 minutes 35 seconds. One of the best matches on the card, in my opinion. JC is such a good heel and such a good wrestler to have the match that she has. And Lola Vice is obviously just a bona fide star at this point. It's just a matter of time before she's, dressed into, actually, holding that championship. As much as I love the perfect storm scenario, in her backyard, even though Winter Park is just like, not as, just as far as Fort Lauderdale from Miami. I digress. Her family was there, but if you paid attention to these to the backstage segment, she had a run-in with Lainey Reed, and you just immediately know that Lainey is going to interfere in the match and cost her the title, which she did. It was revealed the week. Technically, it was revealed on unintentionally on WWE.com, but it was pretty obvious from what we've been seeing in the last 2 weeks. Nonetheless, JC Jane is still your champion. I'm not mad. Kind of happy the way that she won the match as well. It keeps her prominent as your beatable champion. So I thought that was actually pretty good. So, Lola Vice was in the match. 4 stars. There you go. Then you have the main event, the last match. Ricky Saints defeated Obafemi in 17 minutes and 20 seconds to become the new NXT champion. This was basically Obafemi beating the shit out of Ricky Saints for 16 minutes, and then for a minute and 20 seconds, Ricky Saints kind of came out of nowhere, took the W on Femi. I did see a lot of people were actually upset about that, and I get it. It was an okay match. The finish just did kind of come out of nowhere, if I'm being honest. I don't know what this kind of means. I think maybe Opa might be going onto the main roster. He already said that he should be the Buckeye to finish off John Cena. If that actually happens, wow, what a way to come into WWE. I can make the argument Ricky really didn't need it. He's only been there 6 months. They could have let it breed a little bit more, but, I digress. North American champion and NXT champion in a 6-month span, so, good for him, but it does seem like people are turning on him slightly because of, the Cody rub. So we'll see what happens with that as time progresses. Match-wise, 3.5. And the show as a whole, honestly, it was a good show, but, I don't necessarily see myself, going back to watch it again. So, I'm gonna say thumbs in the middle. it wasn't their NXT's best outing, in my opinion. Alright, that will conclude our coverage of NXT No Mercy. And we are wrestling with NXT versus TNA Showdown. They better not do this in an elimination chamber in Germany. I'm just saying. But yeah, talk about quality TV for a random Tuesday night in the month of October. Ethan Page will defend his North American Championship against Mustafa Ali. All of these matches are NXT versus TNA, so keep that in mind. I don't see Mustafa actually winning this, so Ethan Page for the W. Winner takes all match for the for the TNA World Tag Team Championships and the NXT Tag Team Championships. Everyone is banned from ringside, including the fans. This will be shot theatrically. No, I'm joking. The Hardys, Matt and Jeff Hardy, will be taking on Dark State, Dion Lennox, and Oasis Griffin. I don't think the Hardys are coming to NXT to lose. I mean, they're the freaking Hardys, and these guys are, glorified jobbers at this point. So, I mean, yes, they're trying to present Dark State in a better light, in a positive light, and that they're a threat. But it doesn't necessarily change the fact that we've only started caring about these guys in the last maybe like 2 to 3 weeks, in the 6 months that they've been there. Literally nobody has given a shit about them. I mean the Hardys are the Hardys, so why wouldn't they want to give them, the NXT titles, the only titles that they've never held? And I mean, TNA has kind of has been NXT's bitch at this point. So I mean, TNA needs something, and I mean their hardest hitters are the Hardys at this point. So it makes sense that it would be the Hardys. Alright, 4-on-4 Women's Survivor Series tag team match with Jordan Grace as the special guest referee, which kind of does change the whole dynamic of this. We have the bakery's hottest, JC Jane to the beat. Hey, you don't even have to move your feet. Miss Parker, Sol Ruka, and Lola Vice. Literally the greatest accumulation of women talent ever of all time. They will be taking on Team Unemployed WWE. I mean TNA. But I don't necessarily like this TNA team, if I'm being completely honest. It's just ex-WWE girls and Kalani Jordan, who's still technically employed by WWE. I get why. I do question where the fuck is Rosemary. She must be injured at this point. I mean, Tessa would have been a nice addition, but I don't think they want to hear. WWE wants to hear she's a racist in the TNA building. And, obviously Masha was sent home for the whole domestic violence dispute, and, Ash by Elegance, informally retiring. So, I mean, it is kind of a put together on TNA's side, which is kind of sad considering TNA has had some of the best women for wrestlers, like generally all around. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I should have announced, who is actually on this team. Team TNA is Kalani Jordan, Jessie McKay, Cassie Lee, and Mara Sadie, which was Jakara Jackson in NXT. There are some. First and foremost, I would have personally liked the 5-on-5. My opinion. Just, purely, opinion based. But considering we're 4-on-4, I would have said, NXT, 100% of the way, because obviously they have the more heavy hitters at this point. But Jordan Grace definitely adds a sense of the unknown in all of this, the variable, so to speak. She wanted to be on the TNA team. I don't know. Well, I will say this: whoever doesn't win the men's team, whoever loses on the men's team, the women's team is going to win the other one. So I'm gonna say, I'm still gonna say the NXT women win this match. I think Jordan Grace has to kind of prove herself that she's, NXT and not TNA anymore, and this might actually be her way of maybe screwing TNA, and maybe we'll get some type of rivalry out of it. I don't see her going up against JC anytime soon, so I think she already had her issues with Jada, so I mean she could go for solo of Lola, but she already beat Lola. Yeah, I feel fairly confident that the women will win this match. Then the 4-on-4 men's team, we have Team NXT, Ricky Saints, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Miles Bourne versus Team TNA, Mike Santana, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, and Leon Slater. One of these things are not like the other. Mike Santana announcing the teams, Frankie Kazarian, Big Pop. Mike Santana announces Moose, Big Pop. Mike Santana announced Leon Slater. Meh. I get why they're putting Leon on this show. Obviously, they have big hopes for him. Want to get him that exposure, and being on NXT makes perfect sense. With the men, it does kind of seem like a clusterfuck, because a lot of these guys don't like each other. Frankie doesn't like Santana. Moose likes nobody. Leon's happy to be there. And then you have on the men's side, the NXT side, Ricky and Trick, already has issues. Trick and Javon have issues. Miles doesn't even know he's in the match. I'm joking. I feel like this has the workings of TNA, Mike Santana getting a W on Trek, or because I could. A lot of the guys on the NXT side don't really need this win. They don't, but TNA's really trying to establish Mike Santana as their guy. So, being the flag bearer that beat Team NXT, that goes a long way. And then, Bound for Glory, that's, the inauguration of the new king, so to speak. So I see a lot of clusterfuckery on the NXT side. Trick probably leaves them high and dry. We'll probably get an incident with Josh Briggs. Um, what is his name? Jasper Troy is probably going to make some type of appearance. I mean, he was pretty upset that he wasn't in the match. Um, so yeah. TNA for the win on the men's side, NXT for the women, and yeah. Alright, that will conclude our coverage of NXT versus TNA Showdown. And we are wrestling with WWE Crown Jewel. Takes place in Port Western Australia, at the RAC Arena. And yeah, another WWE PLE. There only 4 matches are announced, so I'm assuming something's going to be announced between now and the actual show. But it wouldn't surprise me if it just stayed at 4 as well. So we'll see what happens there. Let's get into the matches. Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky, versus the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. Don't think that this is maybe the best use of Rhea Ripley in Australia, in her home country, but I digress. That being said, I do absolutely see her and Io winning. Think that it might be, I consider it may be a failure if they don't kiss at the end, but that's my opinion in the matter. Then we have John Cena versus AJ Styles. His last time in Australia. The last time is now. Everything but the fucking last time is now. I'm not... I think John Cena has to win this match. He always kind of got the better of AJ. Well, actually, AJ kind of actually got the better of him most of the time. But the last match, John Cena won. But John Cena just lost to Brock Lesnar. So I'm going to say John Cena beats AJ Styles. Now we have the WWE Women's Crown Jewel Championship match. Stephanie McCoy, the Women's World Champion for Raw, versus Tiffany Stratton, SmackDown's WWE Women's Champion. This is honestly, this is a flip of the coin, because it could, I mean, you're trying to keep Tiffany strong, and Tiffany hasn't lost a lot of matches, but Stephanie literally just won the title a couple of weeks ago. I think it's just kind of stupid to have the match anyway. This was supposed to be a Saudi Arabia gimmick, and when they bring this gimmick to Saudi Arabia is getting all the other PLEs. But I digress. It's really hard to tell. But I'm gonna say Tiffany. No, I'm gonna say Stephanie. I'm gonna say Stephanie wins the match. 4 championships in one year, less than a couple of months into her WWE debut. I mean, obviously they strapped this rocket to her ass. So, and I mean, it does. I wouldn't say that it hurts Tiffany, even though she's been such a strong champion. Maybe there's some clusterfuckery. Maybe there's some interference that causes Tiffany the match. I mean, that would kind of make more sense just to kind of keep her strong. But this is kind of seen even when you lose, even when you win, you lose type scenario, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm going to go with Stephanie. And the last match, the main event, WWE Crown Jewel Championship. Cody Rhodes, WWE Champion, versus Seth Rollins, World Heavyweight Champion. Who wins? Who actually fucking cares? If I'm being honest. I mean, I like both guys, and both have had, like, incredible bangers in the past, but there's really no reason for this match. I mean, you're starting to see the cracks in Seth Rollins when it comes to the vision, and not necessarily listening to Paul Heyman. But do you really give Cody Rhodes another loss going forward? I mean, he already lost to John Cena. I feel like it's Cody's match to lose, honestly. I feel like going back-to-back Crown Jewel champion, it keeps issues between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes going into War Games, which, you know, Cody might actually be a part of the other, team. And, you know, the rest I'm not entirely sure about. So, well, and obviously it has to go, you know, Raw, SmackDown, SmackDown, Raw. So I'm going with Stephanie for, you know, Raw. And it makes the most sense that we have Cody from SmackDown win his match. So, Cody for the W. Right. So we will see how everything plays out. That will conclude our coverage of Crown Jewel. And this episode as a whole. Thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us this upcoming Tuesday as we interview Pereno. This Wednesday as we interview TJ Leah. And every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Twitter, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. For Kaliko Yachts and Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.